Well, it's not like I didn't pre-warn you all months and months ago. A guy that makes content that barely anybody watches got it right once again. Because unlike Soups, Matt Ramos, I understand this business. I understand that Superman may be very popular with you and I, big DC and Superman nerds, but it isn't with the normies. But that isn't the main reason here. What am I talking about? So, 10 of the biggest movies had a top 10 list. Fans were asked, normal everyday moviegoers were asked in the waking physical world, not social media, what their top 10 most anticipated movies were of 2025. And James Gunn's Superman came ninth. At number 3 was the movie that I said to you is going to land big next year, the brand new Jurassic World movie. Because Spielberg's really involved in that movie. He didn't like that Jurassic World trilogy. He got involved. And we're going to get one hell of a Jurassic World movie next year. So what does this mean? That Superman is ninth in a top 10 list, the Superman movie. That when you go online, you get all these bots and simps and stans telling you it's going to be the bestest movie ever, from the bestest director ever, movie Jesus. What does this mean? It means that normies don't care about Superman 2025. This is disastrous for James Gunn, DC Studios, but especially David Zaslav of Warner Brothers Discovery, the CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery. If Superman flops next summer, his shareholders are going to put him in a rocket launcher and launch him to the moon. He isn't going to survive this. He's put his faith in James Gunn. I always believed that James Gunn should have his little corner in the DC universe, doing Suicide Squad movies, doing his Creature Commandos, and all of this stuff. But WB are nothing but consistent. Because of this terrible news that normies are not excited about his Superman movie, all of a sudden they've recycled an old piece of news. They've re-put out there that Mike Flanagan, a very talented writer-director, is writing a Clayface movie. Now, for us, again, DC stans and DC nerds, this is utterly exciting. When something good is happening, when they're doing something good, I'm going to say it. Despite my mistrust of James Gunn, and again, I must repeat myself, he's a capable writer-director. He's a really good writer-director. I have enjoyed his comic book stuff. But I don't think in 30 years' time people will be talking about James Gunn as one of the greatest directors. Something that will come to a shock and will be a trigger to his stans and his simps. Because the reality isn't, everyone, on the internet. The reality is on the normies in the real world that are going to go to cinemas next summer. So I think films like Wicked Part 2 are hugely anticipated. I think number 1 was Captain America New World Order, which is a shocker. But I think, as I said months ago, on this very platform, the fact that they got a Red Hulk in that movie is a huge selling point for that movie. But there's another reason that normies are not that excited for Superman 2025. Because none of us actually know what this movie is going to be. We've had a very, very flimsy synopsis from James Gunn, pretty much telling us who Superman is, without actually telling us what the movie is. We don't know. Superman 78 released a teaser a year in advance of the release of that movie in December 1978. It had no footage. it was pretty much an aeroplane with a camera showing us clouds, right? But in 1977, a year before the movie was released in December 1978, that was a huge deal for people. We saw a poster the other day for this Superman film. That's all we've had, was it in Japan, wherever it was, right? We were told that December was going to be the beginning of the marketing campaign for Superman. Do you remember that David Cornsweet podcast and all that nonsense? None of it was true. The other day on Threads, a fan tagged James Gunn and asked him, are we still getting the Superman trailer in December? James Gunn replied with still ? In other words, I never told you, in terms of him, that trailer was coming out this very month. And he didn't. He didn't come out and say that. He said it's happening sooner rather than later, right? But it's clear that he was leaking information that this trailer was coming this month. Beginning of the year, he said we would not see a Superman teaser, trailer, whatever, in 2024. I now still believe that's the case. And as I always say, it's fine to be wrong. It's okay for me to be wrong. If I don't like being wrong, if I don't like being owned for my mistakes, I shouldn't be making videos, I shouldn't be making content. Nobody should. So it's cool to be wrong. I believed we were going to get the trailer this month. I fell for James Gunn's blag. Because James Gunn, despite being a capable, good writer-director, he's also a used car salesman. Most of these modern day creatives are. Why did this Clayface rebranding, this Clayface news come out again? It's the same news we had weeks ago. We know Mike Flanagan's supposed to be making a Clayface movie, but will we ever see it? Now, James Mangold was asked about his Swamp Thing movie. He said, well, I don't know when I'm going to do it. I'm just a guy driving the train. What does that mean? We know he's making a Star Wars movie. I think a bunch of Star Wars movies. I think he's going to do that first. So the reality is, we may not see this Swamp Thing movie until maybe 2030. Who knows? Who knows? If we ever see it. Because these projects they're rumouring and announcing are just a way to create interest in James Gunn's Superman, in James Gunn's DCU. There's another reason why they've leaked this news about Mike Flanagan writing a Clayface movie, because they just put up the third episode of Creature Commandos, a show that can't even get #1 on streaming trends. It can't even get to #1 on Max in the US, which was always going to be the case because it's only Creature Commandos. And it's irrelevant, as I said the other week. All that matters right now is that Superman makes a lot of money. I would say to James Gunn, I really hope you have got an amazing Superman trailer in your hands. Unless your hands are empty. I hope you've got a great Superman movie. Because if you don't, Superman fans will nitpick the hell out of you, like they did with Superman Returns, wrongfully calling Brandon Routh's Superman a stalker and a deadbeat dad. Nonsense, but that's what they were saying. And how they were picking to pieces Man of Steel. Do you think your movie won't get picked apart? So by God, James Gunn, I really hope you've got a great Superman trailer, as Frank Grillo was claiming, and I hope you've got a great Superman movie. As I've said from the very beginning, teasing things is one thing, but you've got to have something at the end of the rainbow. Whatever happened to Jason Momoa's Lobo? Another rumour being leaked, but why was it being leaked? And Jason Momoa, at some point in interviews, seemed very confident that his good friend Peter Safran would give him some kind of gig in DC. And the Lobo rumours came out. But are these Lobo rumours even true? There's a lot of misinformation coming from that studio, from that director, to create this hype. And the only reason you're doing that is because when you do that, it's because you don't have anything substantial to offer. So I hope you've got more than teases, references, and Easter eggs. I hope this is one hell of a Superman movie. There's a multitude of reasons why we know nothing about this Superman movie. Maybe they're hiding some very exciting things that they don't want spoiled. Yay! That's good for us. But it could be because they know we're not going to like certain elements of this movie. I've been pre-warning about this whole maybe Superman gets killed. I saw another freeze frame on Twitter seeing all these DC characters dead in animated form in the future of Creature Commandos when they were doing more promos. What's that all about? I don't know. It's kind of a nightmare future which we've already seen in the previous DCEU, but we don't know where they're headed with this. So the pressure is on. Now, people like Matt Ramos, aka Soups, have been, handing out the cope saying, well, that ninth ranking will change once we see the trailer. I hope so. And that is a realistic scenario. If the trailer is that good, if what we see is great, then normies could get interested. It has to be a great movie. It has to be a great trailer. You can only have a great trailer for a good movie. If you don't have the great footage to show, then you're going to have nothing great to show. And this, my friends, is the reality of the situation. If I was them, I would release that trailer quick, smart. Because people don't believe in James Gunn's movie. It's not just about Superman being unrelatable to the normie audience. It's about what's happened with Cavill and Snyder. That's the reality of the situation. People don't trust WB anymore. People don't trust James Gunn wholeheartedly, apart from his stands. That's what's going on here. People have had enough. They had a Superman. Some people loved him, some people didn't. We were told he was coming back, then he wasn't. So how can you expect people to trust you again, and again? So we will see, everyone. We will see what happens. But right now, it's not looking good for the DCU. It's not looking good for this Superman movie. But things in this game can change very quickly. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens.